Welcome to Peak Stitching here in Estes Park. I'm Debbie and Lesta is on camera. And in a little bit I'm going to show you how to make a really fun napkin for the holidays. But before I begin, I want to show you some of the new things we've got in. I'm standing in front of some patterns that we got in from Elizabeth Hartman. We've got the bear, so it's the Joan Bear, Dwight the Deer, Fancy Fox, and then we've got in the Fancy Forest. Those are very fun, and you know what I like about the Fancy Forest is that you get a lot of different patterns if you want to create your own quilt from it. So come on back down here, and I'm going to show you our reindeer zing that we got in, and we're going to be kitting that one. And then we just got these really cute stuffed animal ones. So this is Reggie the reindeer. This is Sue Squirrel. And these are stuffed, so you would want to stuff them. But boy, you can use all your fun fabrics. This is Mickey Mouse. Ollie, the laid back owl. Bill, the bald eagle. That's sad. And Fifi, the fox. So all of those would be really fun to make for somebody for Christmas. I think even the older people would enjoy getting something just because you can get kind of funky with the fabrics, or you could go very traditional and make them look like they do here in the wild. And then we also got in some Wild Kingdom with the owls. Black bear. And elk families. And then we also got in some new white backs. We have hummers. And we have, can you get this one here? Mm-hmm. These are feathers. And these have browns and grays, which it's really hard to find fabrics that will blend your browns and grays together. Oops, I forgot to write down this fabric. Here, I'll send this and we'll get this posted on our Facebook as to which fabric blend I used for this one. So today I am going to, we're going to shove these out, and I'm going to demo a napkin pattern, and I've got some basic ideas on how to do this from Instructables.com, Christmas Tree Napkins. Lisa, can you get that name in there? I do a lot of things different than what she shows on hers, so you can follow hers or you can go the easier way. Hers is great. Mine's easier because I'm using the cut around tool. And it goes much, oh sorry. Got it? Lessa got that. Got that. So I'm going to start off with some 10 by 18 pieces, and you want to be able to go reverse. So you want to the coordinate together. And on the cut around tool, I'm going to do a little marking before I get started. Move this guy out of the way so you can see what I'm marking. I don't think you're going to be able to see what I'm marking. Let's see if I flip this over. You might be able to see better what I'm marking. So I'm going to use some highlight tape. And on the left side, I want to cut at the seam or at the fold. So I want to cut right here on the fold line. So to remember, I'm going to put this tape here, and I'm going to be cutting up here on this 17 inch. So that tape's not going to be in my way. It'll just be a reminder as to where I'm going to cut. And then on the right side, I am going to do the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Here. So I'm just marking those again as a guide for me. So now I'm going to take my fabric, and on the cut edge, I want to line that cut edge up straight. And then I want to finger press down my fold well. And I want to make sure that my fold is on my right side, which is your right side, not mine. I'm a little thrown off here. And I'm going to line it up on the fold here, and then I'm going to come down on my straight edge. I need to make sure that's, yeah, that's the one I folded straight. Okay. sorry about that, my fold line on the right and straight down to the straight edge on the left there. I'm going to take my rotary cutter. I'm going to cut backwards. No, you don't have to cut backwards. This is just because of the way I'm standing here. So, and I'm going up to the 17 because I want a large napkin. Okay, so that's one. And you're going to have to do these individually too. Straighten that out real quick. Nice thing about these is if you do make a little blurb like I just did, you just line everything back up. I'm going to turn it my way so I get it done right this time. All the way through. Line it back up. Oh, I was totally off on that. Oh, I did. I just made a mistake on live. I did fold line to fold line. I did not hit my tape there. Well, that's gone. Let's try this again. Okay. Okay, so I'm lining up my straight. So this is my straight. I'm finger pressing this one. I'm going to cut really hard because I don't want to have to mess up again. So I won't be able to use that one because it's not going to match this one. So this one's going to be on the fold on your right side. Okay, so I've got the fold on the right side. I went all the way down to the 1/4 inch seam like I'm supposed to. Let's see if I can get this to cut all the way through. I am cutting backwards. Okay, and there we go. And then what you get is you get a half circle with a 1/4 inch extra on the allowance down here so that when you're finished it is a true half circle. But this is where we're going to do a seam right there. Okay, you can go over there with the other one too. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to pin it. And of course you want to leave an opening on the flat side. It's much easier to turn it on the flat side. So right sides together, the green and the white. And then I back stitched here when I got started. Notice that on my points here, I didn't stitch off. I stopped and I turned right here on the point. You come around. Now if you get into this area down here and it starts ruffling ever so slightly, make sure that you stop with your needle down, lift your foot, and just take your thing or a stylist and smooth it out a little bit and then continue on. You are doing a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. Again, here you're going to turn on your corner. Don't stitch through, and you're going to come up and you're going to leave a 3 to 4 inch opening here, and you're going to back stitch here because when you turn it, you don't want it to come unsewn. So I'm going to take the pins out. I like these glass headed pins because they're really thin. They don't mess with your, don't add too much more extra bulk in there. And then I'm going to use my Nancy K. Buckley scissors, and I am going to trim right up to that point right there. Let me get in here, see if I can do this without messing up something else. Can you see this corner right here, Leslie? Sorry, Lesta. I almost called you Leslie. Due to the fact that we have Leslie that teaches the class, the beginning quilting classes. Okay, so I'm coming in right up against that stitch right there. I'm cutting off the corner. If you cut across that stitch, you're going to need to go back to your machine and you're going to need to stay stitch that corner down. And then you just flip it. Speaking of Leslie, we have our, Lesta, if you can turn around for just a second and show what the next class is going to be for our beginning quilting. It's not just for beginners, it's for people that want to work on stars. So that's coming up on January 10th. And Leslie L teaches that class for us. Gotten great reviews on her class teaching style. Gives you all the tips and tricks that take years to learn, or else you take a class from Leslie. Okay, and so I'm using the stylus right here, and I'm doing those corners, and I'm just gently poking them out. I'm not too worried about them being total points because I don't want to take a chance on pushing my stitches out at that point or breaking my stitches. So you get this kind of funky thing here. Now, this is what I go to the iron, and I kind of roll it back and forth with my fingers, like this, and then I press a little section, and I move on to the next one. So then when you get it all finished and pressed, it'll look like this, except for notice that up here on the opening, it's a little lumpy and bumpy. So to avoid having to blind stitch that in there, I take and I lay it down, and I just give a slight tug on it and make sure everything is turned under nicely. And then I will press that. And then I don't have to do any more stitching on it except for the top stitching. And I just top stitch all the way around 1/8 of an inch using the guide on my foot around. And make sure that you cover this part here. I start on a point out here so it doesn't stand out as much as this and make it heavy in here. And then when you get done, you're going to end up, it's going to look like this. And this is the trick that you're going to have to learn on these, is you think that you're going to fold them back starting in the center, but you're actually going to come out closer to the left side, and you're going to fold it over, fold it over again, and that makes this pretty little tree thing. You may have to adjust it. If you come out and it's like this when you're done, then you start down here and you fold a little closer down here and work your way back up to the top. And I like to press them just to hold them in place so that if they do come undone at the table, they can easily be folded back when you're setting the table. In the video or on the directions from Instructables.com, Christmas Tree Napkins, make sure you get all the dashes and dots in there and slashes in it in order to find the directions. She recommends stitching your fold areas in place. And that would also make it easier for me. Personally, it was just too much stitching, and when I looked down at the napkin that would be sitting on my lap, I would wonder why I have this sideways sunset. But whatever works best for you is the right way. So until next week, oops, wait, I won't be back I'll be gone for next week. So I'll be back the following. So next week you've got Lesta and Catherine. And then have a great week and just enjoy.